Greetings, deep wisdom family. Take a moment right now and reflect on a fundamental truth of the human experience. We are almost universally driven by an innate desire for comfort, security, and predictability. We build lives designed to minimize friction, to keep discomfort at bay, to avoid pain, and to bask in the warmth of what is known and pleasant. We meticulously plan for success. We invest in assurances. We seek certainty in an uncertain world. And when the unexpected inevitably strikes, as it always does in some form or another, we are often left reeling, shocked, devastated, and profoundly disoriented. Consider the common responses to life's inevitable curveballs: the sudden job loss, the unexpected illness, the painful end of a relationship, a financial setback, or even a simple, inconvenient disruption to our daily routine. Our immediate reaction is often one of disbelief, anger, fear, or a sense of injustice. Why me, we ask? This wasn't supposed to happen. We feel blindsided, as if fate has singled us out for a cruel trick. And in that moment of shock, our well-being can shatter, our composure can unravel, and our ability to respond effectively can evaporate. This fragility, this inherent vulnerability to the unforeseen, is a silent epidemic in a world that promises endless comfort and control. But what if there was an ancient, proven method to inoculate ourselves against the shock? What if there was a way to gaze into the potential shadows of the future, not to invite them, but to disarm them of their power to destroy our inner peace? What if by deliberately anticipating hardship, we could forge an unshakable tranquility, a profound resilience that allows us not just to survive life's storms, but to navigate them with dignity, wisdom, and even a strange sense of grounded calm? Today, we delve into one of the most powerful, yet often misunderstood, practices of Stoic philosophy, Premeditatio Malorum. Translated from the Latin, it means the premeditation of evils, or the fore-rehearsal of adversity. I know, the name itself might sound grim, even counterintuitive. Is this simply an invitation to pessimism? A call to dwell on doom and gloom? Absolutely not. This is not about wallowing in negativity, nor is it a superstitious belief that thinking about bad things will make them happen. That would be a gross misunderstanding of its profound purpose. Instead, Premeditatio Malorum is an act of courageous realism. It is a deliberate, reasoned, and supremely practical mental exercise designed to cultivate mental fortitude, deepen your appreciation for the present, and build an internal fortress of peace that no external calamity can truly breach. It is the wisdom of preparing your mind for what might happen, so that you can respond with reason and virtue when it does. It is the antidote to emotional fragility, the path to turning abstract anxiety into concrete preparedness, and the secret to living an unshakable life in an unpredictable world. By the end of this deep dive, you will understand not just the what, but the profound why and how of this transformative practice, equipping you to face life's inevitable challenges with a serene and powerful spirit. Underscore, 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 underscore. Part 1. The core philosophy. Why we must look to the shadows. To truly grasp the profound wisdom of Premeditatio Malorum, we must first confront a fundamental human tendency: our deeply ingrained aversion to discomfort and our often unrealistic belief in the permanence of our current good fortune. It is this very aversion and illusion that render us fragile when reality inevitably deviates from our desires. Defining Premeditatio Malorum, more than just negative thinking. Let's begin by precisely defining this potent Stoic practice. Premeditatio Malorum is the conscious, deliberate, and systematic practice of contemplating the potential loss or absence of things you currently value, or the occurrence of potential future adversities. It involves mentally walking through hypothetical negative scenarios, not to indulge in fear, but to prepare your mind and spirit for their possibility. It is crucial to distinguish this from general negative thinking or pessimism. Negative thinking is often a reactive, uncontrolled, and usually unproductive mental habit of focusing on problems, flaws, or pessimistic outcomes, often leading to inaction, rumination, and despair. It's usually driven by fear and leaves you feeling worse. Premeditatio Malorum, by contrast, is a proactive, controlled, and intensely purposeful exercise. Its intent is not to feel bad, but to foster appreciation, build resilience, clarify what truly matters, and prepare you for effective action. Its outcome is always positive: greater tranquility, gratitude, and mental fortitude. It's a tool for strengthening your mind, not for weakening it. It is a strategic mental rehearsal. The Stoics, like Seneca, didn't contemplate poverty so they could wallow in hypothetical destitution. They did it so that if genuine poverty struck, it would not find them unready or shattered. They sought to understand and reduce the fear of what they might lose, thereby increasing their appreciation for what they currently possessed and strengthening their inner resources. The paradox of comfort. How constant ease makes us brittle. We live in an age of unprecedented comfort, from climate control to instant information, from abundant food to sophisticated medical care. Much of modern life is designed to insulate us from hardship. While this offers many advantages, it also presents a profound paradox. Constant ease makes us brittle. Our psychological system, like our physical bodies, adapt to the conditions we expose them to. If a body is always pampered, never challenged, never exposed to slight stress, it becomes weak and susceptible to injury. Similarly, a mind constantly protected from the idea of discomfort or loss becomes soft, easily shocked, and incapable of robustly handling adversity. When a real setback occurs, a technological glitch, a minor inconvenience, a missed deadline, our lack of exposure to the idea of discomfort can make even minor issues feel catastrophic. We develop what's sometimes called affluenza, or fragile well-being, where our emotional equilibrium is easily disrupted by anything less than ideal. The Stoics instinctively understood this. They knew that if you never consider what it would be like to lose your health, you'll be utterly devastated when illness strikes. If you never contemplate financial hardship, you'll be crushed by market downturn. Premeditatio Malorum is the antidote to this self-imposed fragility. It injects a controlled, healthy dose of adversity into your mental landscape, building immunity. Much like a vaccine introduces a weakened virus to build a stronger immune response. It prepares your spirit to face discomfort, making you anti-fragile, a term popularized by Nassim Nicholas Taleb, describing things that don't just resist shocks, but benefit from them, growing stronger with exposure to volatility. By mentally engaging with potential negatives, you move from a state of passive vulnerability to active psychological robustness. The illusion of permanence, our fundamental bias. One of the most insidious psychological biases we harbor is the illusion of permanence. We instinctively assume that our current state of affairs will continue indefinitely. We believe our relationships are immutable, our job secure, our health guaranteed, our possessions forever ours. This deeply ingrained bias prevents us from fully appreciating the fleeting nature of all external things, and leaves us unprepared for their inevitable change or loss. This illusion is fueled by hedonic adaptation. As discussed previously, we quickly adapt to positive circumstances, and they become the new normal. The joy of a new car fades, as it simply becomes my car. This makes us blind to the preciousness of what we already have. Optimism bias. We tend to overestimate the likelihood of positive events and underestimate the likelihood of negative ones happening to us personally. Bad things happen to other people. We unconsciously think. Cognitive dissonance. We avoid thoughts that create mental discomfort, so we push away the idea of loss or hardship to maintain our pleasant illusions. This fundamental bias creates a dangerous complacency. We postpone expressing love, taking opportunities, or making necessary changes because we assume there will always be more time. We fail to savor the present because we treat it as an endless commodity. Premeditatio Malorum shatters this illusion, not to instill fear, but to awaken us to the precious, temporary nature of every blessing. It forces us to acknowledge that everything, from our breath to our loved ones, is on loan. This recognition doesn't make us sad. It makes us incredibly present and profoundly appreciative. It allows us to view life as a series of precious, fleeting moments, rather than an endless, unremarkable expanse. The Stoic justification: wisdom, virtue, and tranquility. Why did the ancient Stoics, individuals who sought tranquility and a life lived in accordance with reason and virtue, embrace a practice that involved contemplating hardship? Their reasoning was deeply pragmatic and profoundly wise. 1. For wisdom. Sophia true, wisdom involves understanding reality as it is, not as we wish it to be. Reality includes change, uncertainty, and loss. To ignore these aspects is to live in a fantasy, making us susceptible to error and distress. Premeditatio Malorum is an act of intellectual honesty, a way to cultivate a realistic understanding of the human condition and the nature of externals. It teaches us to anticipate rather than to be surprised, to prepare rather than to react impulsively. This foresight is a hallmark of practical wisdom. 2. For virtue. The Stoics believed that virtue, excellence of character, is the only true good, and it is entirely within our control. Adversity provides the arena for virtue to be exercised. How can one practice courage if they never face fear? How can one practice temperance if they never resist temptation? How can one practice justice if they never confront injustice? By mentally rehearsing hardship, we not only prepare for the specific event, but also prepare ourselves to respond virtuously to it. If you've contemplated losing everything, you can consider how you would respond with dignity, courage, and integrity, rather than collapsing into despair or resentment. This mental training strengthens your character, making you more resilient and morally robust. 3. For tranquility. Ataraxia. The ultimate aim of Stoic philosophy is ataraxia, a state of profound inner peace, emotional undisturbedness, and serenity. This is not apathy or indifference, but a deep calmness that stems from living in accordance with reason and virtue, free from irrational fears and desires. Premeditatio Malorum directly contributes to tranquility by reducing the power of surprise. The shock of the unexpected is often more damaging than the event itself. By mentally preparing, the sting of misfortune is greatly lessened. You've already visited that emotional landscape, so it's less jarring when it manifests. Clarifying control. It helps you distinguish between what is truly up to you, your response, and what is not, the external event. By focusing your energy on the former, you reduce anxiety and achieve a sense of agency. Deepening gratitude. By temporarily imagining loss, the value of what you possess in the present moment is magnified, fostering a profound gratitude that contributes to inner peace. When you appreciate what you have, you cease to be tormented by what you lack or fear losing. Thus, for the Stoics, Premeditatio Malorum was not a morbid obsession, but a vital spiritual exercise, a pragmatic and empowering path to a life of greater wisdom, unshakable virtue, and enduring tranquility. It was their method for building an inner fortress that could withstand any external assault. The inevitability of hardship, acknowledgement, not despair. One of the foundational truths that Premeditatio Malorum asks us to acknowledge is the inevitability of hardship. This isn't a pessimistic outlook. It's simply a realistic one. Life is inherently uncertain, dynamic, and full of change. The ancient world, plagued by disease, war, and political upheaval, had a starker awareness of this than our often cushioned modern lives. Yet, even in our era, personal misfortune, loss, and suffering remain universal experiences. No immunity, no amount of wealth, status, intelligence, or good intentions can grant immunity from life challenges. Everyone will experience illness, loss, disappointment, and eventually, their own mortality. The nature of the cosmos. The Stoics viewed the universe as a rational, interconnected whole, governed by natural laws. Part of these laws dictates change, decay, and cycles of creation and destruction. To resist this is to resist reality itself, a futile exercise that only generates suffering. Growth through adversity. They also understood that hardship, while uncomfortable, is often the crucible in which character is forged and wisdom is gained. We learn most not from ease, but from struggle. By acknowledging the inevitability of hardship, we cease to be surprised or feel personally victimized when it occurs. We understand it as a fundamental aspect of the human condition, a part of the grand tapestry of existence. This acknowledgement is not despair. It is the first step towards true resilience and mental preparation. It shifts our perspective from why is this happening to me to this is what happens, and I am prepared to meet it with courage and reason. It allows us to view challenges not as unjust attacks, but as opportunities to practice our Stoic virtues and demonstrate our inner strength. This acceptance of reality, often initially uncomfortable, ultimately becomes a profound source of peace and liberation. Underscore 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 underscore. Part 2. The psychological mechanisms. How premeditation builds resilience. Understanding the philosophy behind Premeditatio Malorum is crucial, but its true genius lies in its profound impact on our psychology. This is an abstract theory. It's a practical method for rewiring your brain and emotional responses to life's inevitable challenges. It leverages fundamental cognitive and emotional processes to transform your vulnerability into a source of enduring strength. 1. Cognitive rehearsal. The brain's masterpiece of preparation. Our brains are remarkable predictive machines. They constantly simulate future scenarios, helping us navigate the world. Premeditatio Malorum harnesses this natural ability and directs it with purpose. Cognitive rehearsal is the process by which we mentally practice a situation or a response before it actually occurs. Neural pathways for resilience. When you vividly imagine a specific hardship, for example, losing your job, and then mentally walk through your rational response, updating your resume, networking, exploring new skills, calmly managing your finances, you're literally creating and strengthening neural pathways in your brain for that specific scenario. It's like building a mental muscle memory for adversity. Reducing decision fatigue. In a real crisis, our cognitive resources are often depleted by shock, fear, and emotional overwhelm. By having already rehearsed potential responses, you reduce the mental effort needed to react. You've already made some of the tough decisions or considered your options, allowing you to act with greater clarity and decisiveness when the actual event unfolds. This frees up mental energy to focus on problem solving rather than reactive emotional distress. Defamiliarizing the unfamiliar. The unknown is often scarier than the known. By mentally engaging with difficult possibilities, you make them less unknown. They become less terrifying because you've already visited that emotional landscape. The initial shock of the unfamiliar is largely absorbed in the mental rehearsal, preparing you for a calmer, more rational response in reality. This is similar to how pilots train in flight simulators. They experience and practice responding to emergencies in a safe environment. So when a real emergency occurs, their reaction is more automatic and controlled, rather than panicked. 2. Emotional inoculation. Desensitizing the blow. Beyond cognitive preparation, Premeditatio Malorum provides a powerful form of emotional inoculation. Just as a vaccine exposes the body to a weakened pathogen to build immunity, this practice exposes your emotional system to a weakened version of potential future pain, helping you build emotional resilience. Gradual exposure. By gently and gradually contemplating various forms of loss or adversity in a controlled, hypothetical setting, you expose yourself to the emotional resonance of these events without experiencing the full, devastating impact. This repeated, measured exposure helps to desensitize your emotional response. Pre-grieving, in a healthy sense for certain types of loss, like the death of a loved one, a healthy form of pre-grieving can occur. This isn't about wishing for someone's demise, but about confronting the reality of mortality. By contemplating their eventual absence, you process some of the emotional pangs in advance. This doesn't eliminate grief when it happens, but it can soften the initial shock and allow for a more grounded grieving process, rather than one compounded by disbelief or a feeling of injustice. It encourages you to love them now more fiercely, rather than leaving things unsaid or undone, reducing emotional hijacking. When an unexpected negative event occurs, our amygdala, the brain's emotional center, can hijack our prefrontal cortex, the rational thinking part, leading to impulsive, irrational, or fear-driven responses. By having emotionally rehearsed the event, the amygdala's response can be less extreme, allowing the rational mind to remain more engaged and in control. This means you are less likely to be overwhelmed by panic or despair, and more capable of thinking clearly and acting effectively. 3. The dichotomy of control. Revisited, the ultimate empowerment. The dichotomy of control is the bedrock of Stoic philosophy, and Premeditatio Malorum is its most practical application. This principle asserts that some things are entirely within our control, our thoughts, judgments, desires, aversions, and actions/reactions, and others are not external events, other people's actions, our health, in many cases, our death. Clarifying agency. When you practice Premeditatio Malorum, you are forced to confront what truly lies outside your sphere of influence. If you imagine losing your job, you realize the external event of being fired is largely out of your control. However, your response to being fired, your attitude, your determination to find new work, your emotional regulation, your commitment to learning new skills, is entirely within your control. Shifting focus. This practice fundamentally shifts your mental energy from futile attempts to control the uncontrollable, to diligently managing what is truly yours, your internal world. This is immensely liberating. It frees you from the anxiety of external uncertainties and empowers you to focus on developing your character and virtues, which are unassailable regardless of external fortune. The source of true freedom. The Stoics believe that true freedom lies not in getting everything you want, but in wanting what you get or accepting what happens and mastering your reactions to it. Premeditatio Malorum is the daily exercise of this freedom. It teaches you that no external event, no matter how catastrophic, can ultimately steal your inner peace if you have trained your mind to accept it and respond virtuously. Your virtue and tranquility become your most precious, unassailable possessions. 4. Fear as a teacher. Transforming abstract anxiety into concrete preparation. For many, anxiety is a pervasive, shapeless dread about an uncertain future. It's a constant what-if loop that generates stress without producing solutions. Premeditatio Malorum offers a way to transform this debilitating abstract anxiety into productive, concrete preparation. Naming the fear. Often, our fears are most potent when they remain vague and undefined. By deliberately sitting down and imagining a specific negative scenario, you give shape and form to your anxieties. You move from "I'm scared something bad will happen" to "I'm contemplating what it would be like if X happened." This act of naming and defining reduces the fear's amorphous power. Problem solving, not just worrying. Once the fear is defined, you can then shift from mere worrying to active problem solving. If X happens, what would my immediate steps be? What resources do I have? Who would I turn to? This process moves you from a passive victim of anxiety to an active agent of preparedness. Building a premortem. Think of it like a premortem exercise in project management. Before starting a project, you imagine it has already failed and work backward to identify all the potential causes of failure. This allows you to mitigate those risks proactively. Premeditatio Malorum is a personal premortem, allowing you to identify potential vulnerabilities in your emotional and practical life and build safeguards. 5. Disarming the unexpected. Reducing the shock value. The unexpected nature of hardship often magnifies its impact. The shock, the disbelief, the feeling of being blindsided can be as damaging as the event itself, paralyzing our ability to respond effectively. Nothing new under the sun. By regularly contemplating a wide range of misfortunes, job loss, illness, betrayal, death, you internalize the understanding that these are not unique punishments, but common human experiences. When they occur, they are no longer unexpected in a fundamental sense. You may not know the exact time or exact form, but you know that hardship in general is part of life's tapestry, neutralizing the emotional charge. When you repeatedly think about potential negative outcomes in a controlled, dispassionate way, their emotional charge gradually diminishes. The first time you imagine a devastating loss, it might feel raw. The 10th time, while still solemn, the emotional intensity will likely be lower, allowing you to think more clearly about your response. You build a psychological immunity to the initial shock, faster recovery. This emotional desensitization allows for faster emotional recovery when real setbacks occur. You're less likely to be consumed by despair or anger, and more able to shift your focus to acceptance and rebuilding. The bounce-back time is significantly reduced because a portion of the emotional processing has already occurred. 6. Cultivating detachment, a healthy, not cold connection. One of the most misunderstood aspects of Stoicism is the concept of detachment. Critics often accuse Stoics of being cold, emotionless, or indifferent to suffering. This is a mischaracterization. Stoic detachment, particularly as cultivated through Premeditatio Malorum, is not about not caring. It's about not being enslaved by external things or outcomes. Loving without clinging. Premeditatio Malorum teaches us to love our loved ones fiercely, to enjoy our possessions fully, and to pursue our goals passionately, but always with an underlying awareness of their impermanence. It's about loving something so deeply that you can appreciate it fully now, knowing that it is on loan. This is different from clinging to it with a desperate fear of loss. Freedom from anxiety. When you understand that you can survive and even thrive without certain external things, you gain immense freedom from the anxiety of losing them. This doesn't mean you won't feel sadness or disappointment, but these emotions will be rational and proportional, not overwhelming or paralyzing. Focus on internal value. By detaching from the outcome of external events, you become more attached to your internal values and virtues. Your peace and happiness become less dependent on external fluctuations and more rooted in your character and your chosen responses. This is the ultimate form of self-sufficiency, not in the sense of needing no one, but in the sense of owning your inner peace. In essence, Premeditatio Malorum is a form of proactive mental and emotional training. It is the gym for your mind, allowing you to develop the psychological muscles necessary to navigate life's inevitable challenges with grace, courage, and unwavering tranquility. It transforms the unknown and feared into the contemplated and manageable, giving you an immense advantage in building an unshakable life. Underscore 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 underscore. Part 3. The practical application. A guide to mindful anticipation. Understanding the philosophy and psychological benefits of Premeditatio Malorum is foundational. Now, let's translate this ancient wisdom into concrete, actionable steps for your modern life. This isn't about passive rumination. It's about mindful, purposeful anticipation that leads to greater preparedness and profound appreciation. The goal is to make these exercises a natural, integrated part of your mental toolkit. Specific areas of anticipation, directing your gaze to potential hardship. To make the practice effective, it's helpful to systematically direct your contemplation towards specific areas of life where vulnerability and potential loss reside. This structured approach ensures you address various facets of your existence, from the tangible to the deeply personal and existential. 1. Loss of possessions. material comforts and wealth in an age of unparalleled material abundance. We often become unconsciously addicted to comfort and security provided by our possessions. We upgrade, accumulate, and constantly desire more, often taking for granted the very basics that previous generations struggled for. Oh, the contemplation. Imagine a scenario where you lose significant material possessions or financial stability. This could be a natural disaster, fire, flood, that destroys your home and belongings, a major financial downturn that wipes out your savings, or even a simple theft. Example prompt: imagine waking up tomorrow and your home has been completely destroyed, along with all your non-essential belongings. What would that feel like? What would be your immediate practical concerns? Where would you go? What would you do with your day? Which things would you truly miss? And which would you realize were merely clutter? Deeper dive. Extend this to financial loss. What if your primary source of income vanished tomorrow and you had no immediate prospects? What would your budget look like? What lifestyle changes would be necessary? What skills could you fall back on? What non-financial resources, relationships, ingenuity, community would you rely on? Oh, the outcome. This exercise is designed to highlight the profound utility and comfort your possessions provide. It encourages you to appreciate your shelter, your clothing, your tools, and your financial security, reducing the craving for endless acquisition. It also helps you differentiate between what you need for survival and what you merely desire for comfort, fostering a sense of contentment with sufficiency. Furthermore, it prompts proactive steps like emergency funds, insurance, or skill diversification, making you less reliant on the fragile nature of external things. 2. Loss of relationships. Loved ones, friends, and social standing, our connections to others, are arguably our greatest source of joy and meaning. Yet we often take these relationships for granted, assuming they will endure indefinitely. We postpone expressing our love, resolving conflicts, or simply being fully present, believing there will always be more time. Oh, the contemplation, the empty chair. Exercise: choose one significant person in your life. A parent, a sibling, a child, a partner, or a close friend. Find a quiet, undisturbed moment. Close your eyes and vividly imagine a scenario where this person is no longer present in your life. This could be due to a physical separation. They move far away. A significant disagreement leads to estrangement, or more profoundly, due to their mortality. Visualize your daily life without their laughter, their advice, their shared moments, their unique presence, or even those minor quirks that sometimes annoy you. What voids would be left in your routine, your conversations, your emotional landscape? What future memories would cease to be created? What kind of support or connection would no longer be there? Example prompt: imagine a life where you can no longer hear the voice of loved one's name. What does your day look like without their presence? What conversations would be missed? What would you regret not saying or doing? Oh, the outcome. This exercise is intensely powerful and often evokes a pang of sadness, which is a direct measure of their value in your life. The goal is not to invite grief, but to deepen your appreciation for their current presence. When you open your eyes and they're still there, the urge to connect, to express gratitude, to forgive small grievances, to be more patient, or to simply savor their company becomes incredibly strong and immediate. It fosters a proactive approach to nurturing your relationships, making you more present, loving, and appreciative while you still have the precious gift of their company. It helps you recognize that every interaction is a finite opportunity. 3. Loss of health and abilities. Physical and mental faculties, the smooth, effortless functioning of our body and mind, is perhaps the greatest blessing we rarely acknowledge. We take for granted our ability to see, hear, walk, speak, think clearly, move without pain, or remember things effortlessly. This oversight makes us vulnerable when these faculties are inevitably threatened or diminished. Oh, the contemplation. Imagine a scenario where you lose a significant physical ability, a primary sensory faculty, or experience a decline in mental clarity. Example prompt: physical. Imagine waking up tomorrow unable to walk without assistance, or with chronic, debilitating pain. How would your daily routine change? What simple pleasures, like a walk in the park or preparing your own meal, would become impossible or incredibly difficult? What new forms of activity would you need to learn? Example prompt, sensory. Imagine your vision slowly dimming or fading to complete darkness. How would you navigate your home? How would you identify loved ones? How would you engage with your hobbies or work? What beauty would you miss? Or imagine the world falling completely silent, or all sounds becoming a muffled, unintelligible jumble. How would this impact your communication, your enjoyment of music, or your sense of connection? Example prompt, mental. Imagine your memory beginning to slip, your ability to focus diminishing rapidly, or your capacity for clear thought becoming clouded and confused. How would this impact your independence, your relationships, your ability to learn, or your very sense of self and identity? Oh, the outcome. This practice deepens your appreciation for your current health and inspires proactive self-care. It transforms health from a passive given to an actively cultivated, precious blessing. It can be a powerful motivator for making healthier choices, diet, exercise, sleep, managing stress, and seeking preventative medical care. It also cultivates empathy for those who live with disabilities, fostering a broader sense of compassion and understanding. When you come back to your present functioning body, you're reminded of its incredible capacity and inherent fragility, prompting you to cherish it and treat it with greater respect and diligence. For loss of status and career, professional standing, and public perception in modern society, our self-worth is often intricately tied to our professional achievements, job titles, social status, and public reputation. The idea of losing these can be deeply unsettling, even identity-shattering. Oh, the contemplation. Imagine a scenario where your career is suddenly interrupted or ends unexpectedly. Your social standing is diminished, or your public reputation is tarnished, e.g. job loss, business failure, public scandal, a professional mistake. Example prompt. Imagine receiving an unexpected termination notice from your job tomorrow and no immediate prospects appearing. What would be the immediate emotional impact? What practical challenges would you face in your daily life, your budget, your future plans? How would your self-perception be affected if your professional identity or financial safety net vanished? What new skills would you need to develop? Deeper dive. What if a public misunderstanding or false accusation severely damaged your reputation? How would you feel? What actions would you take to reclaim your narrative or rebuild trust? What would you realize about the fleeting nature of external validation versus your internal integrity? Oh, the outcome. This exercise helps you to detach your sense of self-worth from purely external circumstances. It reveals that while these things provide comfort, security, and a sense of accomplishment, they do not define who you are at your core. By mentally traversing these scenarios, you can begin to identify and appreciate your true internal resources, your adaptable skills, your inherent resilience, your network of genuine support, friends, family, your core values, and your ability to find purpose beyond external validation. It can significantly reduce the paralyzing fear of failure, encourage prudent planning for the future, e.g. diversified income, emergency funds, and foster a more humble and adaptable approach to career and public matters. When you return to your current status, you may feel less attached to it in a desperate way, but more grateful for its presence, and more confident in your ability to navigate challenges should they arise, knowing your inner strength is your true asset. 5. Loss of life, our own and others' memento mori. The ultimate contemplation. This is the most profound and challenging form of Premeditatio Malorum, often referred to as memento mori, remember that you must die. While it might seem grim or even morbid at first glance, contemplating our own mortality is, for the Stoics, the ultimate catalyst for living a truly meaningful, vibrant, and intentional life. It's the highest form of appreciation for the gift of existence itself. Oh, the contemplation. Find a quiet, undisturbed space where you feel safe and reflective. Take a few deep, calming breaths. Now, gently and purposefully, contemplate your own death, not as a distant, abstract concept, but as an inevitable personal reality for you. Imagine your final moments, the ending of your consciousness, the absence of your presence in the world. Think about what would be left behind. Your loved ones, your work, your impact. And what would not be left behind? Your worries, your regrets, your unfinished business, your unexpressed love. Consider the ultimate finality. Example prompt. Imagine this is your last day. What unsaid words would burden you? What regrets would you have? What dreams would feel unpursued? How would you spend these final hours if you knew they were the very last? Deeper dive. Extend this to the mortality of loved ones. While difficult, contemplating the finite nature of their lives, without indulging in overwhelming grief, can deepen your appreciation for their living presence. The outcome. This is not about inducing fear or despair. It's about creating a profound sense of urgency, clarity, and liberation. When you confront the finite nature of your time, trivial concerns often fade into the background, exposed for their insignificance. Your true priorities become starkly clear. What genuinely matters to you? Are you living in alignment with your deepest values? Are you expressing love to those who are most important? Are you pursuing the things that give your life authentic meaning and purpose? Memento mori is a powerful motivator to stop procrastinating on your dreams, to heal old wounds, to take calculated risks that align with your purpose, and to live each and every day with intentionality, presence, and zest. It transforms life from an endless, often taken for granted stretch of time to a precious, finite gift, encouraging you to savor every moment, every breath, and to make the absolute most of the time you have. It makes the ordinary extraordinary simply by reminding you it won't last forever. Techniques for effective practice. Making anticipation a habit. Premeditatio Malorum isn't just about what you imagine, but how you imagine it. These techniques ensure the practice is constructive, not destructive. 1. Structured contemplation/meditation. Method. Set aside a specific time each day, e.g., 5 to 10 minutes in the morning or before bed. Find a quiet place. Sit comfortably. Choose one specific area of potential hardship to focus on for that session, e.g., loss of phone, loss of a minor ability, financial setback. Process. Close your eyes and vividly create the scenario in your mind. Engage all your senses. What would you see, hear, feel? What are the immediate consequences? How would you, the Stoic student, respond? Focus on your internal reaction, your capacity for reason, your options. Example script. Take a deep breath. Now imagine your ability to speak clearly is gone. You open your mouth, but only garbled sounds emerge. How do you feel? Frustrated? Scared? Now shift. What resources do you still have? Can you write? Use gestures? Find other ways to communicate? What inner strength would you draw upon? Benefit. This formal approach cultivates discipline and allows for deeper, more focused mental engagement with the concept, fostering emotional control and rational problem solving. 2. Journaling worst-case scenarios with action plans. Method. This is a highly effective way to formalize the practice, especially for larger anxieties. When a what-if thought arises, don't push it away. Instead, dedicate a journal entry to it. Process. Step 1. Define the fear. Write down the specific fear or worst-case scenario in stark, unflinching detail. The absolute worst thing that could happen is... Step 2. List the consequences. Detail all the immediate and cascading consequences of this worst-case scenario. Be brutally honest. Step 3. Identify remaining resources. Crucially, list everything you still have and still can control even if that worst-case scenario came true. This includes your virtues, courage, wisdom, patience, your skills, your knowledge, your relationships, your physical abilities if unaffected, your resilience, your ability to learn, and your capacity for finding meaning. Step 4. Develop an action plan. For each consequence, Brainstorm at least 2 to 3 specific, actionable steps you would take. What would be your first move? Who would you contact? What practical solutions would you pursue? This transforms abstract fear into concrete problem solving. Step 5. Reflect on the upside/lesson. What potential wisdom or growth could come from this adversity? How could you practice a specific virtue? How would it reveal your true strength? Oh, benefit. This moves anxiety from a looping thought to a structured problem. By writing it down, you gain clarity and detachment. The action plan makes you feel empowered, turning a paralyzing fear into a manageable challenge. It's a tangible record of your preparedness. 3. Voluntary discomfort. Briefly touching upon while the core of Premeditatio Malorum is mental. The Stoics also engaged in occasional, controlled acts of voluntary discomfort to test their resilience and further internalize the lessons. This is not about self-punishment, but about proving to yourself that you are not beholden to comfort. Oh, method. This should be undertaken with caution and always with a clear, rational purpose. Examples might include taking a cold shower, skipping a meal if healthy to do so, walking instead of driving for a short distance, purposefully using a less convenient route, or wearing simpler clothes. Oh, process. During the discomfort, observe your reactions. Remind yourself, is this the hardship I feared? I can endure this. This is within my capacity. Oh, benefit. These small acts build physical and mental toughness, proving that you are more resilient than you think. They reduce your dependence on external comforts and deepen your appreciation when they are available again. Caution. This should be approached mindfully and never to the point of harm or unnecessary suffering. It's about self-mastery, not masochism. For asking what if, proactively and constructively. Oh, method. Integrate short, what if questions into your daily thoughts, but immediately follow them with constructive self-dialogue. Oh, process. Instead of what if I lose my job? Anxious loop. Transform it to what if I lost my job? Then what? I would contact X, update Y, and consider Z. I would maintain my integrity and learn from the experience. Or, what if this new project fails? Then what? I would review the lessons, recalibrate, and try again. My effort and learning are what matter, not just the outcome. Oh, benefit. This turns everyday anxieties into mini Premeditatio Malorum sessions. It trains your mind to move directly from problem identification to solution generation, preventing anxious thought spirals and fostering a proactive, problem-solving mindset. The return to the present principle, the essential pivot to gratitude. This cannot be overstated. The practice of Premeditatio Malorum is incomplete and potentially detrimental without the conscious and deliberate return to the present and a pivot to profound gratitude. This is the crucial final step that transforms contemplation of adversity into a source of peace and appreciation. The gratitude loop. Once you have mentally walked through the imagined hardship, take a deep breath. Open your eyes if closed. Look around you at your actual reality. Consciously acknowledge and feel profound gratitude for the very thing you just imagined losing, which is still present. Oh, I imagined losing my sight, and now I see the vibrant colors of this room. What an incredible gift. Oh, I imagine my loved one being gone, and now I hear their voice. How precious is this moment. Oh, I imagined being without shelter, and now I feel the warmth and security of my home. I am truly blessed, reinforcing the contrast effect. This immediate pivot back to reality powerfully reinforces the contrast effect we discussed earlier. The mundane becomes magnificent. The assumed becomes precious, preventing despair. This step is vital to ensure the practice uplifts rather than depresses. It anchors the lesson in gratitude and prevents the mind from dwelling unnecessarily on negative scenarios. You are not inviting bad things. You are fortifying your spirit against them by appreciating what you have. A continuous cycle. View this as a continuous cycle. Anticipate, prepare, acknowledge, accept reality. Appreciate, return to gratitude. Act, lie virtuously. This cycle ensures Premeditatio Malorum is a dynamic, life-affirming practice, not a static, fear-inducing one. By diligently applying these techniques, Premeditatio Malorum will cease to be a mere intellectual exercise and become a deeply ingrained habit, a powerful mental discipline that cultivates an unshakable inner peace, profound gratitude, and an extraordinary capacity for resilience in the face of life's inevitable storms. You are not just thinking about hardship. You are actively strengthening your very being. Underscore, 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 underscore. Part 4. Common pitfalls and ethical considerations. Premeditatio Malorum is a potent tool, capable of transforming your inner world. But like any powerful instrument, its effectiveness and safety depend entirely on how it's understood and wielded. Without proper care and discernment, what is intended to be a source of strength can, ironically, become a source of distress. To truly master this practice, we must diligently navigate its potential pitfalls and uphold crucial ethical considerations, avoiding misinterpretation, clarifying what it is not. The very nature of contemplating evils or hardship can lead to significant misunderstandings. It's vital to repeatedly clarify what Premeditatio Malorum is not. 1. Not pessimism or gloominess. This is perhaps the most common misinterpretation. A pessimist expects the worst and often feels defeated before anything happens. Their outlook is generally negative, leading to inaction or despondency. Premeditatio Malorum, however, is precisely the opposite in its intent and outcome. It is an act of proactive realism aimed at fostering optimism that is grounded in resilience. The goal is not to dwell in gloom, but to build an inner state so robust that external misfortunes cannot shatter your tranquility. If the practice leaves you feeling consistently worse, more cynical, or less motivated, you are likely misapplying it. The Stoic ideal is eudaimonia, human flourishing, and this practice is a pathway to it, not a deviation from it. 2. Not fatalism or passivity. Another misunderstanding is equating premeditation with fatalism, the belief that events are predetermined and therefore effort is pointless. This is a gross distortion of Stoicism. While Stoics advocate accepting what is beyond your control, the external outcome, they vehemently emphasize vigorous action on what is within your control, your effort, your choices, your response. Premeditatio Malorum is about preparedness and strategic action, not passive surrender. Example. Contemplating job loss doesn't mean you stop performing well at your job or seeking advancement. Instead, it might motivate you to develop new skills, build a stronger network, and create an emergency fund. All proactive steps designed to mitigate the impact of a potential layoff or make you more attractive to new employers. It's about being ready to act, not resigning yourself to fate. It allows you to pursue your goals with intensity, but without desperate clinging. 3. Not a self-fulfilling prophecy. The law of attraction fallacy in some contemporary thought. There's a belief that thinking about negative things will somehow magically manifest them in reality. This idea has no basis in Stoic philosophy. Premeditatio Malorum is a psychological exercise, a tool for mental training, not a magical incantation. Your thoughts do not directly control external events. You can visualize losing your home 1,000 times for preparedness, but it will not cause a fire. The universe operates on its own laws, independent of your mental exercises. The practice aims to change your internal state and your response to reality, not to manipulate reality itself. Dismissing this practice due to such a fallacy means denying yourself a powerful source of inner strength. For not indifference or apathy. As discussed before, Stoic detachment is often misconstrued as not caring. This is false. The Stoics were deeply engaged in life, caring about justice, community, and their loved ones. However, They aim to care in a way that wasn't tormented by the outcome. Premeditatio Malorum allows you to fully invest in your relationships, your work, and your passions, knowing that if they are lost, your inner core remains intact. You feel the pain of loss, but you are not destroyed by it. It's about loving without clinging, investing without despairing if things don't go your way. It allows for rational sadness, not overwhelming, irrational grief. When to exercise caution. Important boundaries. While universally beneficial, Premeditatio Malorum should be approached with discernment, as certain situations or individual predispositions warrant caution. 1. During periods of acute stress or active grief. If you're currently experiencing a significant active loss, e.g. a recent bereavement, a sudden job termination, a major health crisis, or the immediate aftermath of a traumatic event, this is generally not the time to initiate or intensify Premeditatio Malorum. Your mind and emotions are already fully engaged in processing real-world adversity and trauma. Adding hypothetical loss on top of this could be counterproductive, overwhelming, and potentially harmful, hindering your natural grieving or coping processes. During such times, prioritize self-care, seeking external support, friends, family, professionals, and processing the immediate, real emotions of your situation. The time for this particular Stoic practice will come later, once you have processed the immediate impact and regained some emotional stability. 2. For individuals with diagnosed mental health conditions. If you have diagnosed anxiety disorders, e.g. generalized anxiety disorder, panic disorder, clinical depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, obsessive-compulsive disorder, OCD, or other significant mental health conditions, approach Premeditatio Malorum with extreme caution, or preferably only under the direct guidance and supervision of a qualified mental health professional, therapist, psychiatrist. For some individuals, deliberately thinking about negative scenarios, even hypothetically and with good intentions, could trigger or exacerbate symptoms, leading to spirals of anxiety, panic attacks, or depressive episodes. This practice is a self-improvement and philosophical tool, not a substitute for clinical mental health care. A therapist can help you determine if and how this practice might be safely integrated into your broader therapeutic plan, or if other interventions are more appropriate for your current state. Your mental well-being is paramount. 3. If it consistently leads to prolonged distress or negative outcomes. As emphasized throughout, the primary goal of Premeditatio Malorum is always to foster greater peace, gratitude, resilience, and empowerment, not suffering or lingering negative emotion. If, despite your best efforts to follow the safeguards, time limits, clear intent, return to gratitude, the practice consistently leaves you feeling worse, more anxious, more depressed, or trapped in a negative thought spiral that doesn't dissipate after the exercise, you must stop and reevaluate immediately. This is your mind providing crucial feedback. It might not be the right tool for you at this particular moment in your life, or your approach needs significant immediate adjustment, e.g. less intense scenarios, shorter duration, more focus on the return to present. Do not force yourself to continue if the outcome is consistently detrimental. The balance. How much is too much? Finding the right balance in your practice is key. Too little, and you won't reap the benefits. Too much, and you risk the pitfalls. Moderation and intent. Premeditatio Malorum should be a focused, finite exercise, not a constant state of being. It's a tool to be picked up, used, and put down, allowing you to return to the present with renewed appreciation. Listen to your inner state. Pay attention to how you feel. If you feel energized, more grateful, and more resilient after the practice, you're doing it right. If you feel drained, pessimistic, or more anxious, scale back and recalibrate. Complementary practices. Integrate Premeditatio Malorum with other Stoic practices like daily reflection, checking if you acted virtuously, focusing on the dichotomy of control, and practicing present moment awareness. A holistic Stoic practice provides balance and prevents any single tool from becoming disproportionately emphasized. The role of action. Premeditation as a catalyst for preventative action. Premeditatio Malorum is not an excuse for inaction. On the contrary, It should be a powerful catalyst for proactive, preventative action in your life. Informed decisions. By anticipating potential downsides, you make more informed and prudent decisions. If you contemplate losing your job, you might be more diligent in saving money or diversifying your skills. If you imagine a health crisis, you might prioritize exercise and a healthy diet. Mitigation, not avoidance. The goal is to mitigate the impact of hardship, not to magically avoid it. You act to build safeguards, reduce vulnerabilities, and increase your preparedness. This shifts you from a reactive stance to a proactive, empowered one. Living fully. Paradoxically, by anticipating hardship, you become more likely to live fully and courageously now. When you understand that outcomes are not entirely within your control, and you've prepared for the worst, you are freer to pursue your passions, take calculated risks, and express your true self without the paralyzing fear of failure. You act with virtue, detached from the outcome, because you've mentally prepared for all possibilities. Integrity and authenticity. Living the wisdom. Ultimately, the responsible practice of Premeditatio Malorum is about living with greater integrity and authenticity. Honesty with self. It fosters a deep honesty about the realities of life, its impermanence, its uncertainty, its challenges. This unvarnished view allows for genuine self-awareness and wisdom. Alignment of values. By regularly contemplating what truly matters when all else might be lost, you align your daily actions more closely with your deepest values. This creates a life of greater coherence and fewer regrets. A grounded spirit. This practice builds a grounded spirit, one that is not easily swayed by fleeting external circumstances. You become less dependent on others' opinions or external validation, because your strength comes from within. Premeditatio Malorum, when wielded with awareness, discernment, and respect for its power, becomes a profound ally in your quest for contentment, resilience, and a life lived with deep purpose. It teaches you to approach life's inevitable challenges not with fear, but with thoughtful preparedness, courage, and an unshakable inner peace. Conclusion. Your deep wisdom journey with Premeditatio Malorum. We have now embarked on an extensive journey into the heart of Premeditatio Malorum, the ancient Stoic art of anticipating hardship. We began by acknowledging the deeply ingrained human aversion to discomfort and the often fragile nature of our peace when confronted with the unexpected. We learned that this practice is not a descent into pessimism or a superstitious invitation of misfortune, but rather a courageous act of proactive realism, a mental training designed to forge an unshakable inner calm. We delved into the profound philosophy that underpins this practice, understanding why the Stoics, from the statesman Seneca to the emperor Marcus Aurelius, and the former slave Epictetus, embraced it. They saw it not as a grim obligation, but as a vital pathway to wisdom, virtue, and enduring tranquility. They knew that true strength comes not from avoiding discomfort, but from preparing for it, from understanding that constant ease makes us brittle, and that the illusion of permanence is a dangerous delusion in an ever-changing world. We then explored the powerful psychological mechanisms at play, how cognitive rehearsal builds neural pathways for resilience, how emotional inoculation desensitizes us to future blows, and how the critical dichotomy of control clarifies what truly belongs to us, our response, our character. We saw how this practice transforms abstract anxiety into concrete preparation, disarms the unexpected of its paralyzing shock value, and cultivates a healthy, liberating detachment from external things, allowing us to love fiercely without clinging desperately. Finally, we translated this ancient wisdom into practical applications for your modern life. We systematically explored how to anticipate hardship in relation to your possessions, relationships, health, career, and ultimately, your own mortality through memento mori. We outlined concrete techniques for mindful anticipation, from structured contemplation and disciplined journaling with action plans, to the importance of the crucial return to the present principle, which anchors the entire practice in profound gratitude. We also rigorously addressed the common pitfalls, such as mistaking it for pessimism or exacerbating anxiety, and emphasized the vital ethical considerations and boundaries necessary for responsible, beneficial practice. This isn't just a philosophy you've read about. It's a powerful, actionable tool that you can integrate into the fabric of your daily existence. It's a discipline that empowers you to transform your relationship with fear, cultivate a profound and enduring gratitude, and build an inner fortress of contentment that stands firm against all external circumstances. The challenge now is yours, Deep Wisdom family. Don't let this simply be information you've consumed. Take the actionable insights from this guide. Choose one area of your life where you feel a subtle anxiety about potential loss, perhaps a valued possession, a specific ability, or a future uncertain event. Dedicate just 5 to 10 minutes each day to a structured contemplation or journaling exercise for that specific potential hardship, following the safeguards we've discussed. Crucially, always conclude by consciously returning to the present moment and feeling genuine gratitude for the presence of that very thing you just imagined losing. Experience the shift. Feel the subtle strengthening of your spirit. Discover the profound sense of peace that comes from being prepared, not fearful. You will find that by courageously looking into the shadows, your appreciation for the light will become far more brilliant and enduring. You will move from being a passenger tossed by the waves of fate to a captain, steering your vessel with wisdom and composure, regardless of the storm. Share your experiences in the comments. What insights did you gain from this deeper dive into Premeditatio Malorum? How will you begin to integrate this powerful practice into your daily life? Your journey of deep wisdom is a shared one, and your experiences can inspire countless others. Remember, the world outside will always be uncertain, but your inner world, your capacity for joy, gratitude, resilience, and profound contentment, that is entirely within your power to cultivate. Don't just exist, truly live, with profound appreciation, unshakable strength, and deep wisdom. The art of anticipating hardship is now in your hands. Use it wisely,